power of
I'll watch
us.
Final Destination.
Macquarie University.
What's up?
We just finished watching it.
I survived.
Oh! Hello, everyone. This is our review for Final Destination Bloodlines. There hasn't been a movie out, a Final Destination movie, in since 2015 or something? Or like 2010? It's been so many years.
I think a bit sooner than that. Let's find out. Maybe release was there was one in 2011. That was number 5.
Yeah, this is number 6.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, bloody hell, over 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, so the directors of this movie is Zach Libofsky and Adam B. Stein. Do you know them, Mitch, at all? They're
Do not.
They're the most notable for the 2018 movie Freaks and the Kim Possible live action in 2023. So they look pretty new to the whole freaking. I'm not trying to
Kim
laugh at
Possible
them.
movie?
It's like a kids' TV show.
Yeah, I know what it is, but I didn't
yeah.
know they made a movie out of it, a live action movie.
Past the movie, we've got Caitlin Santa Joanna as Stefani. Stefani's the main girl. Theo Briones as her brother Charlie. And then we've got, the rest of the cast. Richard Harmon, Owen Joyner, Anna Law as part of the crew. And then, of course, Tony Todd. He returns as Bloodworth. He was in the first movie, was he? Or he was in the previous couple of movies?
It was in the original film, and I believe he made a few cameos in a few of the other films too. I'm not sure how often, but originally, yeah, he was the mortician in the very first movie. And he wasn't a main character, he just gave the plot insight to the main characters of what they're dealing with and went on his merry way. They portrayed him a little differently in this one. He was much more lighthearted. In the original, you kind of get the sense that he actually is death, the living embodiment of death, or it's kind of eerie that way.
Yeah.
But he leaves it off playful, He just informs them what they're dealing with and how to beat it. Basically saying you can't really beat it, you can't cheat death and all this stuff. So he was always pretty much the top of the characters. Don't go up that mountain there. There's danger up there. And naturally,
you don't
the
want
kids
to
do.
Don't make your butt. But yeah, Final Destination. Sorry, keep going.
Sorry, man. In case we don't know, Tony Todd was mostly known for his role as the Candyman, the 80s horror supernatural thingamajig. I think I only watched the one once, but yeah, he got a cult following from that film, plus a few other things where he was never really a main star, but he was always playing secondary roles. I've personally known him mostly as one of the mercs from The Rock. He was one of the mercs that turned evil and all that stuff and all that, so yeah, you know what you know.
Well, I'll go through briefly the plot of the movie. It's not very difficult. If you've seen a Final Destination movie, you get the point. So we have the lead character Stefani. She has these terrible dreams about the incident that occurred over 50 years ago. With her grandma, and her grandma is the one who escaped death. And then through the dreams, she gets information from her grandma and finds out that her family's cursed, and death is coming for everyone in the bloodline or anyone that survives in the premonition. And one by one, death starts following them and following the family, and they try to avoid it basically, and they try to figure out how to not let it kill them. So that's the idea of the movie. Let's talk about what we didn't really like about the movie.
Oh look, I have to approach it as being critical, because I myself like to see myself as a story maker, storyteller, and whatnot. So narratively, it just jumps right onto the ship without any really plausible reason to. It's just and it still doesn't make much sense as to why the main character is having these dreams about her grandmother's premonitions. That's never really explored. And like in every Final Destination film, usually the main character has some kind of psychic ability to predict death moves. And so they usually implement that throughout the story. I don't really feel like they did much of that in this. Like the first quarter of the film, we kind of get the sense that that's where she could take this, but then it's never really used at all again. It's just all turns into this kind of investigation, and so kind of falls flat there. And also, too, I realized after the fact that the plot really only begins in the film because the grandmother dies. Like, if the grandmother decided just to stay in the house and continue living the way she was, the rest of the family would not have died, so to speak. So, her stepping out to willingly let herself get killed is the cause for the rest of the family dying.
I mean, no, okay, no, I get, but my thing on that is the grandma was gonna die anyway, and her mind was once I die, then the rest of the family's gonna go. So if I die now, it'll make the family believe that this curse is real, and they can actually try to do something about it instead of just like waiting for me to die from cancer and then them dying systematically.
Fair enough, but if you were in that position, wouldn't you want to hold off death doing that for as long as possible? And they say in the film she deliberately isolates herself. Don't you think she would try to connect to them in some manner? Like she just reached her granddaughter that day. You know what I mean? There's a line of communication that's opened, but instead it's like, here, let me prove to you that this is all real. I'm gonna die, so you all can die unprepared. It's like,
Or
okay.
she believed that it could be. Uh, Maybe she
Fixed, like
believed it could
cheated.
be fixed. It could be cheated. So by her killing herself, making the family believe, with all her research, maybe they'll have a better chance of finding it instead of just leaving it alone and waiting for nothing to happen. But yeah, I mean, she would have died of cancer. Okay, if Stefani was her name, if she didn't come to the house, the grandma would have died from cancer without communicating with
Eventually.
them eventually, and then the rest of the family would have died anyway. So it's weird that the grandma never reached out. I mean, well, she did
Exactly my
actually.
point.
Well, she did reach
Yeah, she
out.
did.
Yeah, with the letters and
And an
stuff.
We all
email
thought
from
she was
the
crazy. I get that, but like again, it's like the granddaughter has reached her. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you think you'd want to try and keep yourself alive long enough to better explain the situation
Yeah, so
instead of throwing all this exposition at her and saying you're on your own, bye bye.
I believe she did, and then she was just like, and then the daughter, the main character, was just like, I don't believe you. See ya.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is there's still a first step, and there's still a chance of her coming back. If she's got this kind of super natural connection with the grandmother's dreams and all that stuff, you would presume like she's gonna have to come back eventually. You know what I
I
mean?
feel like
Because she can't sleep. She has to confront it eventually.
I feel like the grandma was just like, just like, yeah. I think what Josh was saying was just like, um, oh, it seemed like the main character wasn't ever going to come back because if I met a long lost relative like
yeah,
that, I wouldn't. But like,
yeah. Like the
yeah,
door
no,
was
that makes sense.
closed.
Though.
If the grandma
That
let her
makes
leave, she would never would have come back. And
and
there's
believed her. But like, also, she would have had still kept on having the dreams, is what Mitch is saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like she had, in my
yeah,
opinion, she would have eventually come
Oh, yeah,
back,
true.
whether by the grandmother trying to
Yeah.
connect with them. And let's talk about the grandmother's housing situation.
yeah. Okay,
So
that,
the thing is, like, okay, it says that she's been in this house for years, decades even. But I mean, the plausibility of that, she would still have to somehow get supplies. She would still have to somehow go outside the house eventually. Like, I doubt she'd have the resources capable to be just literally in that house. Yeah, they show like she's got plants and
hydroponics and
herbs and
stuff.
vegetables and all this stuff, hydroponics. But like, yeah, there's this weird line because it shows she's capable of cheating death. You know, it establishes the character like, oh, I'm always a step ahead of her. It thinks I'm dropping my guard, but I'm not. You know, but then it gets to this point where it's like, it just seems cheating, like lazy. It's like instead of her being involved with trying to save her family and her granddaughters and all this stuff, she thinks the best way to prove the situation true is by letting herself die. The one person that really has the knowledge and experience to help the rest of the family out, whether they see her crazy or not. It's like because they did the exact same thing in I think it was the second or third one. Like scenario occurs and they realize, oh, someone's still alive. They're supposed to be dead, but they somehow cheated. We need to talk to them. And it turns out to be one of the characters from the original film. And this, I mentioned this to you guys. She's like put herself in a mental ward where she's in like a room that's cushioned and she's in a straitjacket and no one comes to her. So death is impossible to get to her. When she realizes other people are now being targeted by death, it encourages her to step out of the mental asylum to help them out as best she can.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That was that was done better in that sense. With the one with the grandma was done, and the grandma didn't really have an incentive to kill herself. So like, it was.
No, I don't think. I think her killing herself to say, "Here, let me show you," was just lazy writing.
It kind of defeated a lot of the purpose.
Yeah, because they introduced her with this extravagant flashback set in like the 50s, with this amazing scenario where this tower basically burns down and all this stuff. So they put all this focus on this character only for her to say, "Hey, I'm an old woman now. I'm gonna die. Bye." It's just okay. I wanted her more involved.
No, I get you. Yeah.
I feel like this movie did a good job of it, but I feel like the reason why I wasn't much of a big fan of the series and the last ones was because a lot of movies I watched, they're unrealistic and fictional. But like what Mitch was just saying, like some of the logical reasons and I don't know. I had the same thing with sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I had the same things with time travel, movies with time travel. Like sometimes they can be very it's very hard. It's a very hard concept, is what I'm saying, and it can be like messed up really easy. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you can pick a lot of holes.
Convoluted.
That's it. That's the word.
Convoluted. Okay.
Convoluted.
I'm not sure when they introduced the concept because originally, as far as I know about Final Destination, and again, the only one I've seen a dozen times is the first, and the others probably once or twice. But as far as I know, always understood it. The only way to beat death is to just cheat it yourself. And in this one, it introduced the concept that if you kill someone, you basically take that person's life and all that, and whatever life they had left. I don't know if they ever introduced that, or if that was just introduced into this film. I can't recall.
That if you die and come back alive, then you cheated death as like another
that
way.
too. If you manage to resuscitate yourself or revive yourself, then death. If you've skipped death's plan and all that stuff, I don't recall that one either. It was always the rule that you have to literally keep cheating death's plan at you. That's what the first one established. And if you do screw up with death's plan, there's consequences and whatnot. I feel okay. You're gonna introduce that plot thread. They should have thrown that. They should have put focus on that a little bit more as well. Like they did it briefly with the tattoo brother and his plan to kill his younger brother and to bring him back and all that stuff. But then that's it.
Yeah,
it's just straight away forgotten. Like I reckon they should have allowed these characters to get super paranoid with each other, and it's about bloodlines. It's about family. So how strong a unit is a family when you push to that like breaking point of like, are you willing to kill a family member to like save yourself and all this stuff? Well, technically that wouldn't make sense because they're all destined to die, right? But yeah, I'm questioning myself.
No, I see what you mean. Like
idea.
it could have been written a little bit. It was very surface. It's kind of surface level writing and entertainment where.
I get it. Bottom line, I'm getting super anal about Final Destination 6. And as I said earlier, it's a film with the whole sole purpose to have cheap thrills and exciting violence.
Yeah.
So I'm getting anal about it. It's just me being critical because there's the one side of me that just goes to the cinema to, just turn my brain off and enjoy the film, to which it did. But then there's the other side of me that needs to be, critical. And it has to critique it as a film in whole. So this is the other side of me coming out saying, is it a good film? No. Is it an enjoyable film? Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Another thing I didn't really like was the fact that the house had gasoline in it, and that kind of where the house basically the mother dying was because of the explosion, and Stefani drowning was because of the explosion. It was because of a reason, such a stupid reason of having gas. Like, if there was gas in the house, how did not the grandma didn't die 1,000 times over?
Exactly. Yeah, I question that a lot. Like that place did not look safe at all.
I feel like
Like
No.
it was
what
supposed to be like death proof. Like you step outside and there's barricading spikes all around the perimeter. There's, like you said, puddles of water to drown in. There's electrical wiring that looks like it's about to collapse. And as you said, there's like explosive chemical, you
Yeah.
know, canisters in
Yeah,
the house.
and
It's
there's
like,
canister outside a carbon dioxide canister outside of the house, like a
yeah,
pressurized vessel. Like,
how she survived that long in that place with all those hazards? Because as anybody would know who's a fan of the show, the series, Death would have easily implemented those at any time to kill that woman, Iris, even if she was prepared. Yeah, it was a very unplausible death-proof house.
hmm. And another part in the end of the movie where seemingly the main character survives death by getting resuscitated, quotes. Um, but the whole movie, it seems like Death is after them immediately. Death wants to get him at every turn, but she gets saved from being drowned, so technically she didn't die. Then all of a sudden it goes to the whole prom
Happy, happy, happy.
prom morning. I'm like, well, I'm guessing it was probably days later. How did Death not come after them for days, getting ready
Yeah,
for the? And he waited for the guy to be like, oh, well, technically he didn't die. Now something's gonna happen. Something should have happened, uh, like days
yeah.
before that night. So that was a bit
And to
like,
even
Death's coming
and
for
to
you,
add more,
but only if it feels like it.
yeah,
yeah, I was taking a day off. And add more to what you're saying, Josh. Like the first two victims of the family, we got to watch two funerals. And as anybody would know, a funeral process would take, average around a week to occur.
yeah,
4 to 7 days. So this movie, technically in the time lapse, spanned over what, basically half a month of time. Because, like I said, we witnessed two funerals, and then the rest of the cast decided to all get killed what felt like the same day. So yeah, there's an inconsistency with like when death feels like striking.
yeah,
I guess that's kind of what they're going with. Death can come at any time, but yeah, it's like right now it wants them dead immediately, so it's throwing all this shish kebab at them. But then after they somehow survive the shish kebab, it's like, oh, I'll get them next week. I'll get
yeah.
them in a month. It's just, yeah.
It's a bit picky, but at the same time, it's well, not really. It's not that picky. It's like three people died in the hospital in one day. The two died, and then they're like, "We've got to get out of here." And as they're driving, there's like three different hazards that almost kill them. And like, but then all of a sudden, Death takes a week off.
Has to recharge the batteries. Yeah, it's a nitpick, but I guess it breeds the intensity. You know,
I guess
I get that.
with I think you were asking the question what you disliked about it. I guess what I disliked about it was, um, I think yeah, mainly what we said before, like some of the acting at the start and the characters were just like pretty hard to get through, but that was kind of just like a minor thing for me. But I think that's all about it. Like I thought I thought it was gonna be like this. The characters were gonna be like this all the way through, and that's what I was not looking forward to. But that's only really my nitpick because I feel like coming into this movie, not saying I'm like you guys, I knew it was gonna be stupid. like
uh,
yeah, it was like a Final Destination film, so I'm just like, I think there's gonna be some stuff that doesn't really make sense, but like if it's at least entertaining, then it's good. But yeah, like a lot of scenes, like with the main character girl, like waking up from a nightmare sort of thing, it's just like, yep, classic trope, seen that
classic.
before. And then me, what we were talking about after the theater was just the friend that she was sleeping next door to was just like, oh, like, what are you doing? He's like, I keep having this same dream, and she's explaining it to the roommate, and then the roommate's just like, why don't you go back home to your hometown, and then sort it out there? Like, it's she's basically saying, why don't you never mind this bullshit, go do this for the plot, sort of thing.
Move the plot forward.
Yeah, I was just like,
Totally
cool.
agree. That's probably my, like, if I'm gonna like not be so anal, but my biggest nitpick was how how the story begins. It was just like we straight away jump into her like, oh, something, need to investigate something. So that's literally the opening scene we get with the main character. And it's just
Straight
like,
off the off the straight
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
it's like too quickly. It's like it'd be like watching an alien film, and the opening sequence is Sigourney Weaver like blowing up the ship. It's just like, oh, I need to do this right now because it's an alien board. The end. It was just the part happened so damn quick on the very first page of the script. It's just like, oof, wow, okay. I would have at least had it like she gets a phone call that a family member has died, and that is what's like pretty much the trigger of her realizing something sus. You know what I mean? Not just yeah. That's my big nitpick. It's the thing. If I directed this movie, that would have been the biggest and really the only change I would have made. It's just the establishing intro was just like jarring to the how quick things happen. Another example would be like watching Back to the Future, and the opening sequence is Doc literally already driving into like space time.
It,
It's like too quick, too happening. You know, you got to treat us as the audience. We need to like believe and fall into this character as a person, not just a plot thread.
Yeah.
it's like that, Mitch. Like, it could be like a really interesting movie, and then it'll cut to like just some dumbass going like, it was literally just like that. It was like some really interesting scenario, and then it just cuts to a girl going like, I'm the main character, and I woke up, and it's like, who are
That's
you?
literally what it is. We're gonna follow
Um,
me.
and it's like, I don't want to.
I wasn't really expecting much, honestly. I thought there was going to be kind of like a cliche sort of almost teenage movie. I thought it was going to be like for teenagers. But I was actually pleasantly surprised. It was very gory, like which is expected for a Final Destination movie. I wasn't sure if they'll go for more of the. I respect that they went more for the gory thing, so it's like MA/R rated. I'm pretty sure it's R rated based on some of the deaths that we saw in the movie. But I'm glad they
Probably
didn't.
American R, yeah.
I'm glad they didn't go for more of the teenage route as well to try and get more money because it's staying true with the original of being super gory and for adults only. But yeah, so what did you think, Jared?
Mitch. Yeah, I was surprised that I actually liked it, and I didn't even think about that rating thing, and I think that's probably what made me like it more because I think for example, some movies that come out that are like really violent or really scary, even if they're not horror movies exactly, a lot of people that make the movies, they're like, oh, we got to make it for a wider audience to get more views and stuff like that, so they make it more family-ish friendly, or like make it at least not under another rating. So then most of the kill scenes or the intense scenes like just happen off camera, or
Or
there's just
they
like,
black out or something like that.
yeah, blackout, or like there's like someone gets cut and there's no blood or something like that. And yeah, so I didn't even recognize that, and I'm kind of grateful for that as well. Um, yeah, and I wasn't expecting to like it so much. The characters, I think, at the beginning were kind of like kind of hard to get through. But then you slowly, I don't know, for me, I slowly started to like them, mainly because the tattoo guy, I didn't even recognize him, but he was in. It's funny how these roles are, because most of these guys are like, yeah, people in there, they're like playing as like, I think the little brother is playing as like a high schooler, but I'm pretty sure he's in his 20s. And the tattoo guy, piercing guy, that dude, I'm for sure he's like nearly 40 or something like that, and he's playing as a teenager
Really?
because he was. he was in the movie Final Destination 2, and that came out.
Richard Harmon.
Click on him. Let's see. I didn't want to. 30 for okay, but
he?
like
Who did he play
I
in
mean,
Final Destination 2?
no, sorry, not Final Destination. Grave Encounters. That's my bad. He was in
Oh,
another horror movie where he was playing as like a paranormal investigator. Yeah, see movies and shows underscore right there. Grave Encounters.
The 100.
Um,
Oh, he was in the 100? Okay. Percy Jackson.
yeah, but yeah, no, I think I like the characters. Uh, the story was what it was. I think I didn't enjoy the last few ones. I think I never watched the first one or the first couple of two ones. I always watched like, I think I watched Final Fantasy. I mean, Final Fantasy, Final Destination 5 and the Final Destination. And
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
yeah,
That's what it was called. Final Destination or
the
something.
the Final
Yeah.
Destination, and yeah, I don't remember it because I don't think I really liked it because not many of the characters were just likable, and it was just like it was more like a group. It was always just like a group of friends, a group of teenagers just doing stuff like that, and it's not like oh damn teenagers or something like that, but it was just like these people are just unlikable. When this when this movie, I freaking loved all these guys. I love this guy, Richard
Harmon.
Harmon. Um, so yeah, it kind of made me like hope that they would also. What are we doing with spoilers? Because
Yeah, no, we can just go nuts. We can do whatever.
yeah, yeah, it's unfortunate seeing them die and stuff like that. Because I was a bit like, oh, like that. And I don't think I've seen a horror movie in the theaters in a while. And I think it's the first time I've ever just like, what's the word? Cringe. I think I was sitting next to you, Mitch. You would have seen me move my hands up and down.
oh, cringe, but you're more so like flinching and,
Yeah, I think like a lot of them was just
reacting.
was like oh yeah, the acting at the start with the brother and the sister. I was like, oh, this better fucking end because I swear to God. But it did end, and but yeah, like a lot of the kill scenes were just like I don't know, like people stepping on glass and the guys piercing a couple of times. Just ugh. I don't know what it is. I think anything that goes into foot, anything that like with piercings, I don't know why. I just flinch.
That scene was pretty
Fair
cool.
enough.
He did a good job, freaking going over the obstacles to try and get the piercing off. Like, good on him for that. But yeah, so I agree. I thought it was really entertaining. It was just an entertaining movie, which is what it's trying to be, and it did what it was trying to be. But how about you, Mitch? What did you think?
Yeah, yeah, I liked it more than I thought I would. Yeah, entertaining, absolutely, bloody and gory, but it's in a way where it's not traumatizing to the audience, as most of the Final Destinations are. Like you get your batch of like, oof, that's a bad way to go. With also, that's a funny way to go, because
Yeah.
for half the film, I just found myself laughing at some of the impactful violence. Because I think it is set up in a ways to try and muffle people's response to it, and it's been like that for a while. Like I think the only time I really felt like, oh, these deaths are pretty hard to watch was probably in the original. But even then, there was still some funny ones in that. So the directors know when to balance some form of humor as a juxtaposition with actual severe gore, painful gore to experience. So I had a little bit of everything to enjoy from this film, and the cast is the cast. They're all a generic in there. At one point to die, so you don't really get much. You don't really get to know anything about them really. Um, they just cannon fodder, so to speak. And I don't think anyone really cares going into these films about what the characters are and their backstories. They're just waiting to see them die. So it delivered on that promise.
Yeah, and are they entertaining on screen? And I thought that they were. Like that blonde haired guy, I forgot his name, but I just thought he was like a bit of a goofball, like that jockey goofball. Yeah, I don't know, he was just kind of goofy and funny. But yeah, with the gore, so some of the deaths were almost comedic, like the way it's like they explode and they turn into just instantly turn into mush. So it's like gory, but almost comedic in a way,
Over the top.
over
Yeah.
the top. But I will find there was a traumatic death for me. It was the garbage disposal one. It looked really good when she got her skull crushed, and you saw half her head like get crushed in and her jaw break open. That was really well done. Like the CGI there was I thought pretty good, and it was realistic. And it looked, yeah, that was
I
kind of
mean,
like,
yeah,
oh, that was probably the most brutal death. In terms of like very graphic and like slow, it
Yeah.
was like a slow crushing. Ugh.
yeah, nice.
All right, that's a wrap. See you guys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
no,
You
the,
go. You go. You go.
no, you keep going, Mitch. You're not done yet, right?
No, no, no. You were still going.
Okay, no. Well, yeah, the garbage truck scene was, yeah, that was probably my favorite death in terms of, oh, I don't know. That one probably got me the most. The lawnmower death was pretty funny, I guess. Because like it kind of gets you thinking. Like the movie does a good job keeping you think. Like, how is this person gonna die? They insinuate the glass was gonna kill him, but that then it's like, oh, that's a bit too easy. They're kind of alluding to the glass too much. And then you think, oh, maybe it's the rake under the trampoline that's gonna kill him. But then all of a sudden the lawnmower just runs the guy in the face. So it's the way the deaths lead up. Well, it was entertaining and pretty funny, especially that one.
Yeah. I think what Mitch was saying before, and the oh, I'm gonna sound like a nerd here. The cinematography
Well, yeah,
in most things when it always zoom in on an object sort of clacking or like sort of shaking, and then you're like, oh fuck, here we go. But then nothing happens. But then sometimes the thing that was shaking, would come back and do something. It probably wasn't
Every
the
time.
object that ended up killing someone, but ended up like insisting, assisting of the
interesting.
killing, which was pretty, yeah, creative. Like I think especially with the piercing scene where he was piercing that girl's tongue, it just kept on zooming in, and I think with me with piercings, I'm like, oh, like that. I'm just like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. But she basically how much this movie is. At the end of the piercing, it's like, like, oh, you pay for it and that. She just walks out. Like, I think that's what I just liked about this movie. Some of the scenes were just like, you can tell the director just didn't care about anything outside this movie, like realism. Just like he just cared about the story and the killing. Like he didn't care about like the background characters, like paying for stuff, or like freaking the boys that were like when they were in the hospital and they were smashing
Vending machine.
the yeah, vending machine. I'm just like, oh, security's gonna be on that for sure. But I can understand that. Like, sometimes they were really sneaky. Like, I'll get that. But
Were
yeah.
they?
Well, yeah, exactly
It
like
just,
that. Like,
it just cuts to them having succeeded in being sneaky. It's like, they managed to get into a room with a giant magnet. Like that. Those rooms are usually highly supervised, or in
Yes.
an area of the hospital that is locked away. You have to get an access key or sneak in past security and doctors and nurses and staff. Like, but we don't see that. It just segues straight to, yep, they achieved that goal.
the
Now
doors
they're gonna die.
unlocked.
Yeah, the CT scan machine is right next to the vending machine, like right where the patient
Metal.
the sitting room is, the general area. Like,
Before that
And we
scene,
love that.
I think you see Rich's character, tattoo guy. I think he literally walks behind one of the desks, and the nurse is just like, "What are you doing?" And he just like grabs the keys and walks away, and then nothing happens after that.
I don't
I'm
remember
pretty
that.
sure.
Yeah,
I think something like that happened where he just like grabbed keys, and a worker was just like, "What are you doing?" And then like they're just like, "All right, we'll pretend that that lady never called security or anything." Am I thinking of that?
no,
Am I imagining that? Something like
no,
that
he didn't
happened.
snatch. I don't think he snatched any keys, but he was looking suspicious, and his answer was, "I'm here to see my grandma," and sit next to the old woman.
Yeah,
And the
that's all it
person that's
took.
on staff is like, "Okay, no longer need to be concerned."
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah, let's.
Yeah,
But
I was more interested if it being the 50s, but yeah.
yeah, I thought that as well. Like that, I was just like, is this gonna be a period piece or it's not a period piece, but like set in the 50s? I was just like, oh, seems cool.
That's one thing I really enjoyed. They introduced how like death does take a while to catch up on victims. So if you're involved in a big catastrophe, say like the Titanic sinking, but you managed to avoid that crisis, those 2,200 souls that survived the ship, death would have to systematically go for them one at a time. So saying that it would take a long time for it to get to you. And I do enjoy how they showcase that like it could be generations before death finds you, which is, it's the metaphor of life, right? Like live life to your best because death can come at you at any turn, in any form, in any shape. So yeah, in terms of the gravitas of it being a generic kill victims that are young kind of film, yeah, that was always the reoccurring theme in each one of them. It's just like don't fear death because what you get is someone who boxes himself in a house for 40, 50 years. And they're not living life. They're just trying to survive. And there's a big difference in that. So if you can take anything away from that, take that with you.
All right. Well, yeah, I think we're going to end it here. So overall, we talked about a few negatives of it, but overall, I thought it was it was entertaining. It did its job. It had a few flaws here and there, but it's fine. It was a pretty good first big movie for the directors. In terms of scores now, I'll give it. I'm kind of conflicted, but I think I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Because I was entertained, but there was quite a few writing errors, just story errors, and a few, things that didn't make sense. How about you, Jared? What's your score and overall thought?
On Letterboxd, I usually do 0 out of 5, but I think I can do the 10 out of
Out of
10.
10?
No, no, it's not
Jared
10 out of 10.
Letterbox boy.
10 out of 10. I'm saying I'm probably going to say yeah, probably 6 out of 10 like Josh. I think really the character who's sitting on the screen right now, Richard Harmon, he like really saved it. I feel like yeah, it was just like a fun time and yeah. Yeah, so yeah, 6 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah, I'd give it a 6. 6 as well. Um, Fun. Is it a great film? No. It's a fun film. Bottom line.
I mean, yeah. I'll watch the next one that comes out. If a new one comes out, I'll be
Yeah.
kind of hyped to watch it. I'll be like, oh, here we go, another pretty entertaining, goofy time.
Well, it's telling me I want to go back and watch the original again. Simple. Because I always enjoyed the first one. I thought the concept was fun. It's got Stilther in it and a bunch of other casts that have grown up to do bigger, better things. So, yeah, take forever from what it is. I'm gonna go see the original again.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go screw myself.
I'm gonna go freaking
Watch
Blunt.
WWE.
Go get the
WWE.
sticky night.
All right, hit
Yeah.
that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Even though it's probably
Hi.
no one watching at this time, but let's see. All right, we'll see you next time, people. Oh yeah.